Turn my music down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's Discussing Tabletop. I hope you're having a great Saturday. It is I, Tapstar of Dracovin, Lord Emperor here at the Dracovin Emperor, joined, of course, by most days, Momo.
Hello.
All right. So we have a bunch of topics to talk about today. I'll throw the docket into chat, which should be gosh darn working, unless, Nightbot decides to not work for me. We're going to talk Lord of the Rings. We'll get into that. Got a couple Pathfinder things. We've talked about the Walking Dead Kickstarter / RPG. They have the Kickstarter live, which we can actually take a look at what the hell they mean by this as what makes you not another generic zombie game, zombie apocalypse game. And then break. We'll get into that. So, Lord of the Rings.
We do.
I wasn't going to talk about this, but they're doing something weird and different.
What are they doing?
Lord of the Rings Magic Set.
Oh, yeah, I saw a card of that.
So, they've introduced some cards, and then they're doing certain things which are very unusual. So, what they are doing is, let me link the description of their intro to this in the chat here, so anybody wants to follow along can see. They're showing off, oh, hey, some cards, we're going to be doing that. We have the artifact, the One Ring. Okay, cool, you can get your copy of the One Ring. Except, there is a specialized promo that is done in the Black Speech. There is only going to ever be one of. And it's just going to be in one of the English language collector boosters randomly.
Okay. I mean, that's funny.
I know. It's also what?
That's gonna be the most expensive Magic card.
Yes. For okay, only one in existence, very expensive. Got you. Also, only one print they probably can ever do. Got you. And then it's just so artificially I'm it's a neat idea in a way, but I also am not for it because you're automatically creating an artificial thingy of insanity, and then so they're also doing something similar with, in quotation, the Rings of Power. They're doing apparently 3 different types of soul rings: elven, dwarven, and human. Both double rainbow foil and non. In I guess it's supposed to be elven language or something.
That's elven.
So those are also limited and will probably be expensive. Honestly, the foil ones, whatever, foils are always more expensive. Even so, when you have 3,000 of the elf, 7,000 of the dwarf, and 9,000 of the humans, how many of these are they printing, though? That's the other thing, too.
Yeah.
I don't...
I mean, these are neat. They're very clearly just to be collected because, unless you're a mega dork, you're not going to know what that card says. Yes.
Gonna be honest, I would just, if I really wanted a One Ring, I'd just get the it's a normal one part of the set kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just buy that.
I mean, if I pulled this, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'd do with this. I'd put it on eBay and just see what happens. Just see how... I'd auction this fucking thing off. Just to see how much I could get for it. I wouldn't keep it. I'd sell it.
I honestly would say the same thing. It's sort of I don't need this thing. And, getting it would be just get me money, please. Yeah. I would rather have money than this.
Yeah, I'd see how much I could sell this for.
I don't know.
Also, the card kind of sucks. Just with what it does. Because, as long as you have it in play, you just lose life.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense for what it is, but also, you have 20 of that.
Yeah. And you get protection from everything else. That's pretty okay.
Yeah.
No, it's when you cast it, you gain protection from everything, and then if you use it to draw cards,
The burden counter. I don't know what that means.
I guess it's a type of counter you put on it.
I'm assuming it maybe appears on other cards.
Well, specifically, it says on this one, burden count. You put a burden counter for tapping it, and then you draw a card for each burden counter on it. So maybe other things use burden counters in this set or something, if it's related to that. I saw something that... I mean, they also have, like, this mechanic of being, tempted. Ring has tempted you, which if you do that 4 more times, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game if the ring has tempted you 4 or more times this game. I guess ring tempting use a mechanic too, which is weird.
It's certainly interesting, but I don't think this set's for me personally. Even though I don't think Lord of the Rings fan, I'll be honest, a lot of these cards, Lord of the Rings cards just don't translate into other media because they're very specifically mythology characters.
Yeah. I think I would have to look at all of these to like really get an idea of the set, honestly. So I think I would wait to pass judgment that far. But certainly, I have never been inspired to purchase cards from this set. And even the like insanity of a single specialized card super promo that only exists ever, you know, in one thing that you'll ever see. Yeah.
A little weird, but they put Tom Bombadil in here. He looks like he's okay.
Yeah. Along there are 4 more lore counters among sagas you control. Tom Bombadil has Hexbuff in a controller, so he's all about having a lot of sagas.
Yeah, makes sense for who he is. There's Gandalf, obviously. You got Sam, Frodo,
Gollum, Mount Doom.
Gollum being a 2-cost is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Frodo's a 1-cost.
Yeah. I mean, they're not really powerful characters anyway. They're just
they're hobbits.
They're hobbits.
They're the only people who can ever do anything in Lord of the Rings.
They got a starter kit with 2 cards in it that are in bundles and tox toppers. They're showing off a lot of stuff, and I'm going to say like it's.
I like the Sauron art. All the way at the bottom, down by the starter kit.
Yeah, the lidless eye. You know, whatever the card is, the art is pretty cool.
Aragon and Erwin Wed is neat idea.
Yeah. I guess it's supposed to be like, it's like later on or specialized things for the starter so they can do.
I already tell you that the art of that card is going to upset some people because they've only seen the movies.
Ah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Despite that being book accurate.
I mean, I didn't even like pass over it. I was just like, whatever, you know. Because the thing is, like, I gotta be honest. I know this kind of thing happens enough in media that if it's something more accurate to a book or something, I just don't care. It's fine.
I mean,
honestly,
I've never read the books because honestly, the books are hard to read.
Honestly, if it was only just stylized in that way and they chose to, rather, I would not have cared either. It doesn't really matter.
No,
you know,
it's a card.
It's a card, and the depiction of the person, the character, or the character themselves, whatever they are, like, in any form, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I guess, like, if it would be really extreme if you, like, changed Aragorn to a woman or something, but...
That'd be a little weird, because women don't do anything in Lord of the Rings. Tolkien has never wrote a woman to do anything in his movies.
Yeah, you know, I will definitely agree. Tolkien has got some issues, but also, like, you know...
a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
One thing I can say that's cool about this set is, I guess these are like the borderless rares or whatever have the continuous art
Yeah.
between these cards. I think that's neat.
Yeah, no, I like it when they do stuff like that. That's neat for those kind of things. Not that I would ever really want to collect those, but
No, I'm neither a big enough Magic fan or a big enough Lord of the Rings fan to buy this set.
yeah. I feel like the lands or maps that are full art.
The lands are cool.
Yeah.
Lands are very pretty.
I feel like it's like if there was something in amongst all of this that would be interesting, I kind of feel like I would just buy an individual, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I'd use these lands because I think because I'd like maps.
Yeah, but you know, they're lands. I would
Yeah.
say just purchase the lands on their own, not buy stuff.
Absolutely, and I'd rather personally use the comic outlet lands because I think they are prettier, but they're also more expensive.
Honestly, you know, for me, whenever I use lands, also I like to have like a mixture of them. You know, so it's like I use one from this and one from that, or kind of stuff. That's always been my weird tastes. But then again, I have weird Magic the Gathering tastes. So, honestly, other than the weird decision for like these weird like bonus cards, whether they're the the One Ring or the Rings of Power or whatever, that's kind of weird / neat. You've obviously set something up that's going
the most expensive Magic card in existence.
Yes, you've artificially created that. You know it's going to be that. It's going to be that.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, I feel like I would call that a promo. As much as like we all talk about how expensive Black Lotus is, there are promos that I think are probably still rare and maybe more expensive than a Black Lotus.
Yeah, Black Lotus is like the one everyone knows. And like also, it's like the famous one.
It's also, I think, the standard release. You know, promos, a lot of weird ones showed up in a lot of weird ways. So like, that's a promo. If I want another copy of that card, they have it as a normal mythic in the set. You know, it is a promo version of it that there is one of in existence that you will get. It is not the only One Ring, just the only one of that form. So
I do get the joke of this card because it's the One Ring, so there's only one of them.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like as a that's a stretch. I feel like that's a little too far.
Yeah. No, I can see that too. You're plenty Black Lotus, but only one. Let's move on though. Let's talk about Paizo. Paizo has some things.
Paizo did a thing.
They've done a couple of things. First off, they're doing a Pathfinder Play Weekend, which is going to be a regular thing now. So they're working with Start Playing, who I don't know a lot about, but I have heard of them before. Who are like they have like, if you want to get a seasoned game master to sort of introduce you to it. So I guess it's like they're a group for more professional game masters, which technically is a thing.
It is a thing you can do. Like you can buy into a game to have, like, you would know you're having a quality DM and a fully prepped adventure.
So these certainly are, yes, you're. It's you paying in to get this. It's not like
Not
a convention where you sign.
I know people who have done it.
Honestly speaking, I know there's a use for it too.
Yeah.
So with them deeper partnering and setting up like a more regular, the last weekend of every month will be like Starfinder and Pathfinder when they organize these, because I'm guessing these are at like local game stores that participate.
Most likely through the Paizo thing, because I know Wizards has one, but Paizo also has one as well. It's like the partnered games, which is the game store I go to, is a Wizards partnered one.
Did I talk to someone that ran a D&D B&B? Oh, yeah, yes, we did. Yes, okay, yeah. The B&B, for some reason, was, like, breaking my brain for a second.
D&D.
Yeah. Yes, they have like people they hire on as, professional DMs, and it's the same kind of thing.
It's sure a level of quality.
Yeah. So it's an interesting direction, and honestly, I feel like it's one of those ones that, again, both of us, not the target audience.
Yeah, I know people who would use this.
Yeah.
And there's certainly a market for it.
Yeah. And you know what? It probably costs the same as it could probably cost the same as going to a movie. So I mean, like, I can't complain against it.
Yeah.
I sometimes pay for those.
I also sometimes pay to go see movies.
Well, less lately, but
just because there's not been any movies out that I want to see.
None that I'm like.
Well, hey, when that Mario movie comes out, I'm going. I want to see how bad it is.
God, I still consider, like, for business expense going to go see the D&D movie, but, like, I don't want to go alone.
Man, I also kind of want to watch it.
Because, like,
because apparently it's gotten, like, really good critic reviews, and I'm like, I don't know if I believe that one. So I kind of need to see if it's bad.
Maybe I can convince Joe or something, like, one of these weekends. Like a freaking Saturday afternoon before the show or something. I don't know. I'll see. I'll consider it somewhere in the mix. I don't know if I will. It's the thing of, like, it's my local theater closed. It's much harder to go with people, and it takes a lot for me to go on my own.
The theater to me currently is a 20-minute drive, and I don't really like movies that much.
25 currently. So
I had one that was about 5 minutes away, and that closed a couple of years ago.
Same with me. Wow.
I'll just watch it when it comes to streaming services, or rent it on, like, Amazon.
Honestly, the same too. Or if I really, really want to see it, it'll be on the TV, which is, around nearby, and I can just, record it and then take some extra time when everybody else is, like, asleep or whatever, and just be like, hey, I'm gonna watch this or something. So, that's the Pathfinder Part 1, but there's more to Pathfinder, because this is both Pathfinder and Roll for Combat combined. Like online/TV. It'll show up on movies, stuff like HBO and things and stuff at some point in time.
It'll certainly be on HBO, or the Paramount one, which technically exists, but no one has.
Yes. It's RPG Superstar 2023. It's the design RPG contest that is originated by Paizo, originally created by Paizo, but licensed by Roll for Combat, is what they say. So, both Paizo talked about it, because I guess they're still connected to it, and Roll for Combat has the website. I linked the website directly. Paizo talks about it a little bit. It's got a theme of some, like, elements, but they're unusual elements, and make a monster based on one of those elements, and I guess that's at least round 1. I don't know if there's multiple rounds.
There might be multiple rounds.
Sometimes I've heard of them having it. Sometimes I haven't heard of these contests type of it. So if you're into the creation and interested in it, boom, it's, 2023 is up.
There are a lot of potential to win.
Yeah.
Because, there's one grand prize winner, but, like, the lowest prize, 76 people can win.
Yeah, and it's also, in a way, getting yourself out there a little bit. This is like an advertisement, probably towards more companies and stuff and things like that.
You can make a submission. Okay, it just looks like you're making a monster, and then it'll be publicly voted on, and then it'll go to private judging, and then you'll announce the winners. Okay,
so pretty simple one for this at least, but still. Creativity, let's see here. I will link the Paizo one because it's got the elemental chart on it. So there's the Paizo MacGuffin blog post about it. The words escaped me, whatever the hell this was caused. Caused? Oh my god, English is just broken from my brain.
Okay, I see it to make. Something based on an element. Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, I got some more unusual elements in there. It's like you have a music elemental monster.
I mean, I am too lazy to do this, but it seems cool.
Honestly, like I could come up with a basic idea, but if you'd ask me
I mean,
for
anything I make won't be cooler than anything anyone else makes. I'll be real honest.
don't ask me.
There's a lot more creative people than me.
Well, I'm pretty sure like you have to like do all the bells and whistles. So it's like I have an idea. Here's the description of the idea. Here's its stat block. That's what's you're getting beyond my capabilities at this one. A lot of times.
I could do it pretty easily, but I'm just not that creative, and I have a game to run.
Yeah, I'm okay with probably not doing it. Honestly, I'm not doing it. But if you're interested in it, or you want to check it out, or keep an eye out, like some interesting things for RPG contesty things in our community, it's something there. All right, hey, let's take a look at this Kickstarter, which was definitely going to be funded by, like, we all knew it was definitely going to be funded.
Yeah, people like The Walking Dead.
I am so curious as to how this is not generic, you know.
Yeah, I need to know what you've done to make this not generic. Because The Walking Dead is generic zombie show.
Yeah, like, now, the big thing about it is, like, I think the thing about their popularity is they're like, we're not afraid to kill our heroes. And I'm like, yeah, great, you know, sure, a lot of zombie things will kill off a couple of characters, but you always got the few that are like, they're never going to go. And they've tried to make it that, like, you never know when it might happen.
Also just a boring drama.
Yeah, but that's the problem, is, like, I'm like, that's great in a medium that's not TV.
Yeah.
You know? In a comic format, it's probably a lot easier to, like...
Comics are apparently... I've never read them. They're apparently better.
But, I mean, the entire idea for, like, the comics and stuff of having, like, you know, the X main character will never be safe and you never know. Because, you know, you have less time... And you still connect with these characters, but you don't have the same kind of, like, deep as a, hey, we're TV, we're stretching out the storyline and actually adding a lot more character to these characters. You're getting much more connected to them. And it just kind of becomes like, well, you know, I like that person. They're dead now. I don't like these other people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch past season 2, so I don't know what happened in the show.
I think I got to 3, maybe 4 before I ended. But it was like it just wasn't great.
There are like 10 seasons, which is also the problem.
They kept going. They long ago kept going, and I'm just like, I don't care anymore. Anyway, so they say there's 2 ways to play the game: campaign mode and survival mode. Campaign, the story is not predetermined. Your goals and choices and results of your efforts to struggle while survive create the storyline. Survival mode scenarios present you with predetermined and often acute problems. They put you right into the dramatic and dangerous situations need to be handled more immediately. Also, survival mode scenarios often feature locations and characters from the TV series, which kind of like, well, I don't want to be connected with them. I want my own thing. It's a fucking universe. Just be like it, like, fucking choose another area of the world.
No, you have to use Rick.
I just don't.
That's the only character I know from the show is Rick.
I know his son.
He's got
Coral.
A kid. Oh yeah, that one.
It's made fun of a lot. And the show only guy, crossbow dude,
Norman Reedus.
Darryl. Darryl. I called him Darryl for a second.
Sorry, that's just Norman Reedus.
It's just Norman Reedus, and he's awesome with a crossbow. Sorry.
That's just what Norman Reedus does.
He just hangs around with a crossbow and shoots people. Too bad. You've been Norman Reedus this.
I mean, it looks like it's a D6 pool. Fine. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. They're using the Year Zero engine, the same one as Alien RPG and all the other ones they do. That's fine. It's their thing. It's just like, I still don't see anything that says we're not generic.
I guess the not generic is the fact that, assuming it uses a deck like the rest of these, you would have a deck and you could pull things that show up in the show, or like this show character No, branding. That's the only thing I can guess that makes it not generic. Is cards that have branded licensed characters on them.
Well, like I'm gonna say something here. I'm just gonna give a little thing. Is like I learned a little bit about it around like just like the end of when I stopped. I learned a little bit of like the big storylines and stuff of the game of the comic. Just because I was curious around the time I stopped watching it as the TV series. I'm like, oh, what will they possibly do in the future? And the thing is, there was some interesting stuff, which hasn't really been done before, but it wasn't enough for me to come back to the show. And one of them was crazy people that I guess skin zombies to wear zombie suits to get to like live amongst them.
Fair enough, I guess.
Because they like use the existence of zombie suits to pretend to be zombies, and somehow works, I guess, in this world. And that seems like an actual interesting concept for like crazy, possibly, unhinged, dangerous people. So there's some good ideas, but it's just sort of like your generic shit has bored me to like not wanting to be here. Your interesting ideas were not enough to keep me on, and I'm sure it was great in the comics, but like.
The problem with The Walking Dead as a TV show is, it's a lot of generic soap opera drama.
Yeah.
That's the boring part.
Will this be more comic or not? I don't.
Well, it specifically says it's based on the TV show.
Yeah.
Because they probably couldn't get the comic licensing.
Yeah, I guess it's because it's easier to go in through like AMC.
AMC has like, and I also assume it's gonna have all the spin-offs. There's like 4 of them.
Yeah, I know it's the concept of like, hey, you have the license for this version of it specifically, but again, that gets to the problem. Yeah, soap operas have their audience, but the problem is, combining it with fucking zombies doesn't make it better. It's still a soap opera.
Zombies are already kind of a little bit boring.
Yeah.
Mostly because as someone from Pittsburgh, I don't want to hear about zombies anymore. Because I've heard about that for since I was born. Because guess what movies are fucking made here? The really famous, like 5 zombie movies.
Oh, the Night of the Living Dead series?
Yeah, those are all made here. So guess what I get to deal with every Halloween for the last, since I've been alive.
I have to admit, like, it's the difference between...
No, those movies are Canadian. We don't claim those ones.
But the thing is, like, it's different mediums. A TV series is a different medium than a movie, which is a different medium from a video game. Like,
I'd rather watch a movie than a zombie TV show. Mostly because a movie is like 2 hours max.
Yes. The story of a movie is more concise and will like tell their story very quickly and doesn't drag it out. And granted, you don't get some things like character development and stuff, but if we're doing soap opera character development, who's evil twins activating stuff now? I don't know. This has been a little bit of a tangent, but again, it's related to this entire thing of like selling me on just it's The Walking Dead is not enough. I want to know what makes you unique. And granted, like, they're 2 different things they said. We're having a campaign mode and a survival mode. I'm like, that sounds like you could have done something a little bit more cooler. Instead, you're just like, survival mode is like, it doesn't sound so fun. It's just like, I guess that's like kind of like the card draw, as you said. Like
since it's year 0, I assume it uses the deck. That's like a big thing in the stat system.
So I'm guessing that's what's related to survival mode of like,
I guess
pull a card, do something.
Because the Alien RPG at least feels like Alien, and Alien is also a little bit more interesting than zombies. But I guess if they can capture the feeling of the TV show in this, good luck. But I guess that it's done its job as a licensed product. But I don't know how you can capture the feeling of a TV show that's been on for like 15 years.
I'm gonna say please don't. Just come up with like a different feeling. I don't want soap opera in my RPG. There's a time and a place for it, and it shouldn't be the main focus. If something soap opera happens and we have a big old role-playing moment between our characters where that happens and you can like have that development, great. Afterwards, I want to go back to like, you know, fucking killing monsters, exploring dungeons, and or maybe getting drunk, you know, or whatever my character does, you know, the normal like, you know, character stuff, because again, it's like soap opera shit is real life shit, and you only want to bring in the stuff when it feels appropriate, not be your entire thing. I mean, I guess if you do like the quintessential soap opera, the RPG, I'd say I'd do that, where it's like, you know, Days of Our Lives kind of shit, where like you roll for your evil twin to show up or something stupid like that.
Funny.
Yes, that's a comedy more than an actual soap opera.
Yeah, that's. There are. I also just want to know, was there demand for this? Because I mean, I could have seen this when the show was at its like height, like 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the show just ended.
Did it actually?
And you're
end?
making this. It ended like November last year.
Fuck,
It was
man.
like the last season. Yeah, there's like 11 seasons. It's been on since 2010. It like just ended, so that's kind of what I'm like. Is there? Apparently, there's demand for people to fucking backed it, but like, I mean, that's just because showed I know, but like, as a mass market appeal, is there demand for something like this? I guess is my question. Like, who is this for?
I don't know.
I have no idea what happened at the end. I just know that they finished the show, apparently.
Very true to say your wife's evil twin who's seeking redemption. God. Anyway, yeah, so the one thing that I would have really loved here is a quick start or something that I could just see what you want out of the game.
These blurbs don't actually tell me how it's played.
No. Like, I have an idea of the system. Okay, it's the same. It's the Year Zero system. Great. Yeah. Okay. That, again, rules are only half of how it's played. Yes. You know? I'm glad
rules don't tell me the tone of the game.
Again,
or what's in it.
Well, it's like, you know, same with, like, you know, the Modiphius system, the 2D20 system. We know how that's played generally, but, like, when we went to the Fallout game, we had to figure out how it's played, because sure, it feels mechanically like the Star Trek system, but it works so differently.
It does.
And it's the same here. I don't know anything about this.
I don't know.
Do they even have like a video of a play or something?
I didn't see a video.
No. I don't even.
There's a Kickstarter trailer, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But it's just a bunch of art and then words.
And they're not even gonna like. If with 17 days, I don't think they might even get that. That was the problem.
There's no FAQ. Updates. Not really any.
I mean,
they did a live Q&A on it apparently.
Well, that's good, but that's still. Again, I would have liked to have seen like a live play of it or something. At very least, if you're not going to put out a quick start of some kind where people can take a look at how you want to play it and stuff. Because again, there are a billion other zombie apocalypse games that are already out there. Just please distinguish yourself from the others. It's one of the things that a reason why when I'm looking for topics, sometimes I just skip over a lot of stuff because I'm like, we've seen that a lot. Maybe that Kickstarter is better. Like this RPG Kickstarter's better. But you have to make me like see and like when a quick read about your stuff without like going so hard in depth. Show me that you're different than everything else that's been released along the same lines. I want to be brought in there so I can say, hey, this looks cool. this is something I think people should check out. You know, because it's different and new. Even if it's...
at the comments, it does seem like one of the most commented things is there a video to show how it's played?
So
currently does not seem to be any form of gameplay presentation on this specific version of the system.
So if you like The Walking Dead, at least the comic, maybe this will capture it. If you like the AMC series, honestly, it's based on that. And if it's in your wheelhouse, I understand. I'm sure there are people that stayed with the series to the end of the 10th season, you know?
I mean, it was on for 11 seasons. People probably still fucking watched it.
Yeah. There are people that, you know, they have different tolerance for different types of things. Yeah. And if it's your thing, it's your thing. So if it's your thing, check it out. If it could be your thing, or you're thinking about it, you know, like, or interested enough, keep an eye on it. Maybe they'll give you some information. You know, up to you. I'm going to leave this as kind of like a... We don't know enough to, like, really... I don't know enough to give, like, a really great judgment on it.
My knowledge of The Walking Dead is the first Telltale video game. The first season, half of the second season, and the fact that they, like, fired the good director from season 1 and then cut the writing budget, which is why it is what it is.
I mean, like, as much as, like, I think it's a little much.
I genuinely don't know anything about this franchise.
Yeah.
Besides, it has zombies and a guy named Rick.
Honestly, I did think it was better for them when they expanded their version of this universe to other places, because they could keep some of the same style that they've learned from the version of stuff originally based on the comics to new parts of the world. I thought that was a pretty decent idea. I just don't know how well they did. I never watched any of that stuff.
Yeah, there are like 4 or 5 spin-off shows.
That seems too many.
I think it's like the only thing AMC makes at this point.
Like,
at least it certainly feels like it's the only thing AMC makes.
I'm gonna say, like, you know, it feels like the same kind of issue like they're doing with weren't they going to do a billion spin-offs of, like, Game of Thrones?
Yeah, they have like 2 or 3 spin-offs currently planned.
I mean,
none of which are interesting.
Some people liked the first one they've already done a season of.
House of Dragons was fine, like, but it didn't leave me with the desire to watch a second season.
Again, I think I've said it before.
It wasn't for me.
Game of Thrones lost me the first season.
That's fair.
Because I'm like, I don't need so much violence and sex next to each other constantly.
I got about 5 seasons in before I tapped out.
Yeah. Just like I was a couple episodes and I'm like, you know, I'm done with this. This is too much. Like, I don't need this much of both of these things constantly. Yeah. You know,
it doesn't stop. Like, if anything, it gets worse as the show goes on.
You need reasons for this shit, not just because you can't. Let's move on. I'm gonna get more sidetracked and angry. So I'm gonna throw up the website first, and then the Kickstart. If the Kickstart isn't up yet, but let's talk about Break, which is inspired by, like, fantasy video games and animes, more like 90s, 80s, I think it's supposed to be, kind of like. There is a waiting room for a Kickstarter too, so I'll put that up here, a link, but there's the main website there.
I like the art style.
Yeah, the art style was one of those things about it, and, like, honestly, like, the idea that they're going very, like, more, I guess, a little bit classic RPG kind of feelings too. So, you know, they give us some information on it, some characters, some basically, like, quick start information. It's meant to be rules light. It's definitely looking on kind of classic kind of materials. So, honestly, you know, you newer people, if you like the classics, you'll like this. If you're me that lived through the classics, this might be my wheelhouse, you know?
It does have that old anime aesthetic to it.
Look, you know, There
kind of
aren't
up
that
there
many
to the
great.
paint.
There aren't that many great old anime, but some of them.
Most anime is bad. Fun fact. We only get to the good ones usually.
You know, I having watched a lot of a mixed bag, I'm like, there are plenty that are okay, but again, like I kind of compare it to like a lot of like, honestly, just. I think it's the sad thing that a lot of like, we don't get that kind of American TV. We haven't gotten it for like ever, and then we only rarely get animation, which can kind of like toe the line between adult and child lately.
Like here's the cool secret about media. A vast majority of media put out throughout all of human history has been bad.
Yeah.
We only remember the good ones, and only the good ones get exported. So most anime is...
Battle Princess and Murder Princess.
I mean, yeah.
Those were both things.
Those are archetypes for 90s anime.
There were actually both of those things. I think there is an actual anime called Murder Princess. There might be one that's called Battle Princess or something too, honestly.
Most likely.
I remember the Murder Princess. I never watched it, but I remember that name because it sounds kind of like a thing. Anyway, I was saying, they give some basic, they've got 11 species that you can choose from, a bunch of callings, which I guess are their classes. Yes, the Murder Princess and the Battle Princess. It's meant to be very rules light. They're going for 470-page book, so pretty packed book for rules light. I guess it's supposed to be like, because they have their own kind of weird setting of, they call it a shattered landscape, so I guess it's sort of like the idea that it's a bunch of like, I guess, shattering chunks of a bunch of worlds mixed together in a kind of like fantasy kind of setting. So it's like, I guess, because they kind of show off, on the cover, a dude that looks like he's just been isekai'd. He hasn't. He's technically just from a world in these set of shattered worlds that's basically like modern Earth.
Yeah.
So his office building might be over there next to it because the entire chunk of that world got teleported over, and now he's living next to like fantasy land, and maybe like weird alien lands next to that or something. So I mean, that's kind of an interesting idea. Their way of doing stuff here.
Yeah.
So I'm all for checking it out, and honestly, so I'm going to give a shout out. They have a date for when this Kickstarter is going to go live.
Right.
I'm just checking because they threw up the pre-launch page.
Just the pre-launch page.
I think they've said it's coming soon.
Yeah.
So it should go live soon.
Could be fun.
I guess I might mention if it goes live then, since it looks
I like a
interesting.
good bit of old 90s anime.
Honestly, both that and the 90s JRPGs. I mean, like, I played some of them Dragon Warriors / Dragon Quest, the original 4 back on NES, and some of them, that original Final Fantasy. I was there for it. I think I still own my copy of Final Fantasy 1 on the NES, somewhere. My collection of random NES games, which probably none are valuable, because every time I hear about the valuable ones, they're really weird, obscure ones, or they're just shitty. It's like, It's like, why is it expensive? Well, no one wanted it, so the rest of them were destroyed. I'm like, well, fuck you. My Legend of Zelda is not worth it.
It's usually how it works.
Man, I have to have the original Mario Duck Hunt and Track and Field combo. That's the standard one. That's only has 2 of ones. Those are the expensive ones.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
in fact, unless things have been printed, it's worth more money.
Yeah. Oh boy. What do I want to talk about today for a deeper discussion?
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I did add a couple more things to the list. You know what? Because of the inspiration from there and talking about it, we've talked about systems being malleable, but let's talk about the malleable system, which is a little different, which is talking about something akin to, I'm going to say, the main one that people will talk about for a malleable system is honestly, when I bring it out, there are 2 that come to mind. GURPS and BESSM. What do I mean by malleable system? I mean They're built in such a way, with such rules, you can slap any kind of shit together on it really easily. Not to say that there aren't systems that are simple that could be malleable, 5e, but when I go to 5e, I have to do work. Some kind of work. Maybe not a lot of work to make it, oh, it's modern day, oh, it's a cyberpunk.
5e is specifically a fantasy system.
Yeah. While both GURPS and BESM are, what do you want it to be? Boom, it's that. There you go. Mm-hmm. And there are certainly systems that are easy to be malleable. Things like, as I said, D&D 5e, because of the simplicity. The World of Darkness system, as much as it is very tapered, there are some very generic undertones to the entire thing, and there are specific rules in some of the books for playing just, I'm a human dude, and that you can throw in a lot of weird places, simple systems are very good for being malleable. Mm-hmm. But I do kind of want to focus in on what it means to be a malleable system and how it has its own challenges. Because again, I'm going to say, GURPS and BESMs suffer from a lot of problems by being so fucking generic. I do like BESM as a system, but the problem with BESM as a system is, yes, I've got all my mechanics laid down, unlike a lot of systems where you get an idea of either here's the world we have for an example, or here's how, a world might work. Like, if I take Pathfinder stuff and D&D stuff, I know how things are supposed to kind of work in that world because of the rules that are established for, like, if I have a wizard in my world, wizards work this way. Magic or whatever ability they are using, if you call it something other than magic, works this way. It makes it that not only are your characters and players going to be very hard to, like, hit down, but also your world. You've got to, like, come up with a lot of this shit a lot of times. Which is a mixed bag on, I think, how, in quotations, easy or difficult that can be. Do you know any other malleable, like, systems I would call malleable like this, off the top of your head?
Not really.
Oh, the Fate setting. The Fate setting, yeah. I know that Fate is very system agnostic, you're right. The basic Fate book is very system agnostic as they built it. Because I think that was a derivative of another one, and they built their generic system. And I think there are some other systems that they have done this with, that they moved from specific to generic with. But they also have, like, ones they've done a lot of versions of, like, the 2D20 system, the Age system, I just talked about it just a little bit ago, the one for Walking Dead.
Year Zero.
Year Zero system. They're systems that we've seen are very easily adaptable. The problem is, a lot of times, if you want to adapt to something that's not listed, that's work. But, I mean, they are adaptable systems that they make to be that way.
The 2D20 system, in a lot of ways, can be anything, because it just comes down to that singular equation of attribute plus skill equals target number.
It is.
That's the system. You could make the phrase, but you have to make rules and such.
Yeah.
Savage Worlds is apparently a pretty good setting agnostic system.
Okay.
I've never played Savage Worlds.
I've heard Savage Worlds in general, but, like, I usually heard Savage Worlds when it was connected with something else is the only problem. So it's sort of like, every time, like, nowadays I hear of Savage Worlds, it's like, oh, it's powered by the Savage Worlds system, But, again, it's the same thing of, like, the great thing about the current edition of BESM, I'm going to say about it, or, honestly, that was about GURPS. GURPS, they vomited a lot of product, but they did it in such a way that they're like, hey, if you want to do this, here's some stuff on how to do it from the basic system, or here's some stuff on how to do that. And they've been doing a little bit of that in BESM, where they give some more information that makes it easier to do that for the current edition. But, like, it's a lot of times is like, again, I'm coming up with a lot of the stuff on my end for world building a lot more, and I have less of a basis to work on unless I'm doing something like, if I'm doing a Besom, honestly, I have the advantage of like, I'm going to rip off this anime. They have certain rules that I can pretend are in my world, But as soon as I go generic, I just want to do a fantasy anime, what are my fantasy rules? How does everything work in it?
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of stuff that's more heavily on the game design idea of things. Food? I'll be down tomorrow. And which is the unfortunate thing that, like, I feel like, again, even on the easier systems, when they have that stuff to a degree built to you, you don't have to think about that. You don't have to have a little bit of game designer in you. And there are cheats for it, but you don't always have those cheats.
Yeah, one of the things with games, specific game design, that a lot of people maybe don't realize, because it's not immediately obvious, is a world and genre really define the rules of what you're doing. Motorbike.
Goddamn motorcycles. Just because there's a motorcycle shop like 2 cart place down.
If you're running a fantasy game, you have to abide by certain rules that inherently exist in the fantasy genre. And if you don't really know those rules, it can be a little bit of work to figure them out.
Mm-hmm.
And then each world itself has its own rules. Like, if you're gonna run in an anime world full of anime people from your favorite anime, you will probably need to know the rules of that world. And if your book is not for that world, it's more work.
Yeah. Like, and that's the other thing too, is like, honestly, even if I'm working off of a basis of stuff, like, when I talk about 5e D&D, certainly I have examples of a lot of worlds, but all of them work under the basic rules that have been established, kind of like, magic works this way, this works this way, and that helps you for the basic idea. And yes, I can alter things here and there a little bit, but those basics are kind of ingrained in. When I want to make an anime based on something, I do have to, like, learn about that world, and I still have to think about, like, well, does it tell me how, like, if this world is magic, how magic works?
Yeah.
How can I translate that into the game mechanics that it feels like this world? Even, like, because of these systems, you can do, like, comic books or popular things, like, or popular media, books, movies, a lot of different things. Like, honestly, or video games, too. Like, I could do something like, hey, let's talk about, because they have the mod for it, I just thought of it, randomly, and I'd seen someone who was playing it earlier that I follow, Elden Ring. They have the multiplayer mod for it. What if I did a version of that in a Besom game? I probably could. I'd have to figure out how the magic system worked. The energy points thing, hey, that works pretty good. Have like a kind of like a death respawn kind of system or something that makes it like, but has punishment of some kind. You could probably come up with something for it. You might have to know the lore of that place, though, and that's kind of like, there's lore videos on that, but you also have to kind of like do the mechanics that they have and add them into your system in a way. And that's a video game which has some mechanics built into it. If I just do a movie, or like, again, like, as we said, the anime, it has mechanics built in, they just don't always show you.
Yeah. Like, if I wanted to do, let's just go with a popular anime that everyone loves, Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I don't know how anything in Dragon Ball works, because I don't think anyone does.
Yeah. Yeah, like, if I was to adapt Dragon Ball, there's so many issues with the world of Dragon Ball for adapting it to a role-playing game, though, is the other thing, too.
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
You can put that in Besom very easily.
Oh, yeah.
But
how do I balance power levels of things?
Yes.
How do I make sure people tire out from energy or don't tire out from energy? What about transformations? What about, like, other weird shit that happens in that thing? a lot of weird things happen. And maybe I don't have to explain why everybody has, like, energy blast and shit like that, but...
Even a more realistic anime, and I don't know a lot of anime, so I'm just gonna rattle off the first one that came to my mind. Attack on Titan, which is more grounded,
Yeah.
where people are of relative same power level.
Yeah.
There are rules in that world that are not explicitly stated, because it's a visual medium.
Yeah. It's like, the rules you'd have to state is, like, a good example is, they've got their gear which allows them to travel fast enough to avoid the Titans and get into position to strike them. It has to work some way mechanically, and it's something if someone screws up, they die. You know, that's a thing that I think probably has happened. Someone screws up.
It happens a fair amount. At least in Season 1. I haven't seen past Season 1.
Same for me. I watched Season 1 and I was like, this is fine, but it's not really my cup of tea.
Wasn't my jam.
Yeah. It didn't cook me enough. But anyway, so it's the same way, like, yeah, you can screw up, so you have to be able to, like, you know, have some skill in it and make some kind of check or something. How does that mechanically work? You know, and yes, the system will allow for that, but you've got to, like, put it in there. Your agnostic system. You have to determine which of the rules that are here work for you, or which of the abilities work for you, or, like, change the things that they have that are system agnostic to your system. And again, like, let's take, like, and, like, I don't know, I can't think of, like, one off the top of my head that I would suggest, but let's just say a isekai with fantasy powers where you have magic, or just even a fantasy world in an anime that has magic. Its magic system's probably not going to work like D&D, so it's going to work like whatever that world's magic is. Yeah. How do you translate that to the powers your person has? Do you use some of the more adaptable I have magic powers or Besem, or do you just make it expressed in, like, other abilities combined to be like magic? Because those are both options.
Yeah, and if you're basing your thing on one of those, it's isekai, but, like, it's a very specific isekai where you're stuck into, like, the MMO.
Yeah,
that's a popular anime genre.
Yeah, the video game ones. Yeah.
Those rules are never stated in those anime.
You know, it's something like, yes, in certain more popular ones, what is it now? The one that I'm thinking of.
I don't know.
Overlord. You know that one. It's one of the more popular.
Vaguely. I know a character from it because of lightning.
Okay. It tends to be a little bit more of the popular, like, in the isekai genre, because, like, I know a lot of different ones. Anyway, I know for a fact, because I've seen someone talk about it, the creator of that has stated a lot of his rules for the MMO are a combination of, like, some basic D&D stuff that he ripped off and some other stuff. Now, he doesn't exactly state, from the person that wrote this, the exact rules, but he says some influence that he has had on the system he's kind of made up. So you can infer a lot when you have that information. You don't always have that information. Yeah, so, like, certain things, you can do some research. You can find out, oh, wait, if the creator has had an interview where he stated, like, oh, these are my influences, you can come up with a version of your rule set based on that. But again, we're already working on a rule set here. This is the give and take of a malleable system. It's great because you can make it anything. Mm-hmm. It's terrible that you have to work to make it anything. And in a different way than, let's say, 5e. Yeah. 5e, if I'm using 5e, fighter's still going to be a fighter. I can change some things kind of about it. Like, oh, hey, fighters can use guns now, or laser weapons now. Still a goddamn fighter, you know. You're not doing major changes there. You kind of are, because you're like, well, this power that we've listed in the entire list of powers that you can take as your character doesn't work in my world. Don't take it.
Yeah.
You've got to make that decision. I like malleable systems, but I also like... I think of it's my entire thing is, they're very cool. They're very useful. Be ready as a game master to use one, because it's going to be a challenge to you in certain ways that you might not be ready for. Maybe you are. Maybe this will help you be ready for it. If you want to pull out a Besom and, you know, even if you're not going to run an anime, like run a random comic book world or something, or, you know, a fantasy novel you really like, that you know enough about, that you think you could run it. Because the thing is, you should really know a bit about it. Like, is that fire or ambulance? Probably fire. I did, years ago now, some, like, short 2 or 3 sessions of some anime. I did Full Metal Alchemist and Cowboy Bebop. I still had to do research for them. Like, Cowboy Bebop is pretty easy because it's you just shoot things.
Yeah.
I still had to say, let me know what you want to take. You know, because I only had 2 players. It was Worm and Tiv. And I was just like, kind of like, okay, build under that, look at the abilities, let me know what you're taking, I can approve or disapprove of something. I kept it easy. That's a good way of doing it, is like, you know, and after that, I just had to, like, research the world and, like, be like, what the fuck is in a Cowboy Bebop world? What the fuck is in a Full Metal Alchemist world? How can I put these characters in there? How can we make this work that it feels like it's that world? What are the rules you follow? And, yeah, you gotta figure that out, and it's a different kind of work than, oh, hey, I'm just in the Forgotten Realms. You know, cool, we're in Waterdeep. Hey, okay, I have to quickly look up, hey, here's a general map of Waterdeep that's online. Okay, you're at this place here. I read up on it. Cool. Rather than like, hey, what's the dynamic of this world and how it works? How do these groups and organizations work? You fucking don't have to ask that a lot of times in D&D, because unless your characters deal with that, it doesn't come up. In the best of one, it might come up, but because they're trying to dive into a world that's a little bit more, less generic fantasy. Not to bust both Galarian and Faerun, but I gotta be honest, there's a lot of fucking generic fantasy in both of those.
Yep, there is.
It's built that way on purpose, you know? So. You have anything else to my ramble here?
Not really. I don't have much experience with those kind of systems specifically.
Yeah, GURPS I have 0 on.
I've never played GURPS.
You know, that's one that I can say. I do not have. I've played some Besom, mainly 3rd edition.
I've made a Besom character. That's as far as I've gotten.
Yeah. The rest, I can't say. Anyway. That's probably a good way to place that off down. It's this entire thing has been just a little bit of a warning and a suggestion. If you want to use one of these systems, great. Just be prepared. You know, I'm not telling people not to use a malleable system like this for whatever you want. To use a GURPS or Besom or Fate or whatever. Just be ready for what you're getting yourself into. And honestly speaking, if you're doing something fantasy, it might be easier just to, like, fucking adapt to 5th edition or something. Like, you know, if there's an easy adaptation system, or if you're doing, like, a modern thing with maybe a couple of usual powers, look to the D10 system from World of Darkness. That's a pretty decent system for, like, modern day shit. It's built for it, you know? It's built in such a way you can come up with your own super powered shit or not, you know? Pretty easily.
Doing a cyberpunk game, hey, just use Cyberpunk. You can just not use Night City.
Yeah, honestly speaking, that's the best, just generic.
Cyberpunk Red is very easy to learn. It's very simple.
Yeah, that's a good one for that. There's a lot of systems I would not suggest, honestly.
I struggle to suggest Shadowrun to new people.
Pathfinder 2nd Edition's in this weird place where Pathfinder in the Galarian world has enough weird stuff in it. You kind of already hit that up, but it's also not enough that I'd be like, I can suggest that for readapting. It's kind of like a hard one there. So that's a...
It may have a lot of stuff, but it's still very specifically fantasy.
Yeah. And there's a lot of systems like that, you know? Again, like, it's how much work you want to put in and what works for you. The malleable systems certainly are better mechanically. So it's like, if you feel you're more confident in your mechanical skills, look for a system that is a little bit more easy to mechanically alter. If you're a little bit more confident in your world-building skills and less on your mechanical skills, something like a Bessemer GURPS might be for you. There you go. If you're trying to come up with something to adapt it. Okay, cool. I'm going to run and grab food that apparently has been sitting there. Can you talk about Sunday, I guess?
I can talk about Sunday, yeah.
Maybe Tuesday if I get to it. I'll skip back to my Monday if I'm not back in time.
I can sit up in my chair. Yeah, Sunday. We actually had a sit down and made plans for what we're gonna do. Had some chatting. I think a certain player named Cell maybe regrets a certain action he took many sessions ago. But that's in the past and can't be undone now, ever. So, he needs a new identity. But yeah, then we went and got called by a dude, and now we're in the great state of Montana to kill things. Because that's just what we were told, to go to a spooky base and investigate and probably kill whatever inside of there. It's a good game. I had fun in that one. Very fun, very good times. Tuesday, I'll be honest. The only thing I remember was to kill a dude. We killed an alien man because he was the main antagonist. I think he was the main antagonist, anyways. Well, he died like pretty brutally. Because he got electrocuted for like 40 damage, and he had 1 HP left. He did deserve that. Being just absolutely roasted alive by a giant fox woman.
Here, but we're at.
And I don't remember what else we did on Tuesday. I think we talked to a rich guy and rescued a fox.
Ah.
Because that's just... we have like one session of that game left. We've wrapped up basically everything.
Okay.
So that space adventure will be done soon.
Monday we stayed on the planet we were doing research on because we were figuring out that there is this like ancient there's like ruins of the ancient civilization under the ground in these like weird sinkholes and stuff, and we were like, this is where the map we found, apparently the map we found is only part of a map. So it's sort of like, the entire idea is that we could get the copy of the part of the map, but the evil, well, I wouldn't call them evil, but our enemies have the same part of the map, so we're like, well, we could go and get the rest of it, I guess, or something. I feel like that's what the plot is at this point in time. So that's, I guess we were discussing that and figuring it out and kind of determining, because we had some time to kill. Yeah, so that's Monday. I might have missed something, but again, like, I oftentimes forget until we, like, talk about it at the beginning of the session. I'm like, my brain has been jogged. Yeah, we met the archaeologists who discovered the map. You're right. So yeah, cool. I remembered most of it. I'm pretty good. Wednesday!
We did do Wednesday.
We did do Wednesday, where you met with a nice elven man and, you know, discussed some kind of treaty, which, you know, may have weird ramifications, and then
I disagree with allying with those people, because they basically said, hey, do a cool purge for us, and then we'll talk to you. And you know what? That's, like, not okay. Also, elves are just dicks, apparently. They're so uptight and full of themselves. Like, damn.
I mean, they really don't like Bonefist, I'm gonna say.
I mean, no one likes Bonefist. He can die. But, like, literally no one likes Bonefist.
Well, that's kind of what they were suggesting, is maybe you could get rid of this.
It came off a little more as like, hey, kill like half of all the captains in the shackles. Because Like half of the captains in the shackles are pretty not good people.
I think I was really trying for more like, you know, it might be good to like, you know, have a real government instead of the pirate council. But if you're gonna live with that, like maybe just get rid of like the terrible people, especially Bonefist or something, you know, and see how everybody else kind of stacks out. So it wasn't like purge the shackles, but it's sort of like if your government, you know, because again, like I guess you're never gonna get rid of everybody anyway, no matter what. There's plenty of pirates in other places. But if you're, like, sanctioned by the government of the entire island kind of things in sort of a way, maybe get them on a good side. I don't know. I wasn't going quite that extreme, but I could understand how it could come off that way.
It came off, I think it came off that way because they're mostly elves, and elves kind of dicks.
Yeah. They were nice to poor Jacob, but Jacob also is like, you know...
Jacob is like a sad puppy. You kind of just have to be nice to him.
I mean, honestly, like, I did think about him, like, he totally reminds, you know, this guy of his half-elf son. You know, it's like, oh, you're a sad puppy, too. I like my son. He's nice. He's, like, he's done some good things and, like, you know, made good relationship with me. You can find your mom and do the same. Aw, man, sad puppy, I'll help you out. Then we started a mass battle, which, it went pretty good. I think. The rules, I talked about them on Thursday. If you want to see like what I talked about, when I dived into the way I kind of built the rules. But I wrote my own mass combat rules. It's more of a kind of skill challenge thing, and it's decent. I'm fixing it up a little bit for next week, so we'll see if those fixes help. We'll fine tune it.
I know one of the problems, and this is just because there's so many voices talking at once, is I got lost like halfway into that session of what was happening. Just because, again, there was just so many people putting input in, and I couldn't hear the DM.
The thing is, like, it's sort of like, it does become difficult when I have to be like, hey, there's some things you have to kind of divide up, talk about it, and then you have to, like, kind of, like, deep discuss, and then it's, like, with 5 people. That's kind of hard to...
Yeah, there are a decent amount of us.
So, when I open it up to, like, a full team discussion, that can kind of have some issues.
Just because I have the cool hearing issues where I hear everything at about the same volume.
Do anything on Thursday?
Thursday was my game. They made it to... No, something happened before they made it to the capital. Cell's character, got visited by an ethereal spirit of a long-dead civilization, presumably, and of course... Cell immediately trusted it. Because when a masked ethereal person shows up in your bedroom at 2 a.m, doesn't say a word, and only communicates through object manipulation, trustable guy.
Definitely.
Basically was like, hey, stop messing with that elemental. It's dangerous. If you want to fix yourself, go to the big ruin underneath the giant lake that was ours. So that's the current quest for them, is to go under a giant lake. To do that, they went to the capital city, which they found out has a lot of civil unrest. Because it turns out people don't like the vampire lord who rules it. He's basically Strahd.
Yeah, that seems like a thing that people wouldn't like.
So that city's like about to explode in the revolution. Technically the party could do stuff about it, but like I'd have to extend the game by like 5 or 6 levels because Strahd is a CR15 monster.
Yeah.
So I'd have to extend the game by a couple of levels, and I don't know if I want to do that. Also, only one character I think cares, so it'd probably be a post-game thing. But they went into They went into what is basically the Underdark. Found a bunch of petrified dark elves who were horribly petrified by chemical weaponry. Found a cool memory crystal. Went to a spooky small lake. Fought basically a mind flayer, but underwater. Almost could have killed 3 party members, but I didn't because I rolled like garbage. I rolled way below average on the Mind Blast ability. And then didn't roll well on anything else. Like, initiative was like a 2 for that guy. So he died pretty quickly.
Terrible initiative likes to do that to you.
It does that. And then they learned that, hey, this thing that they thought was like a super mega... It did stun 3 players because everyone has bad in saves. Which I don't know if I'll adjust for. It'll probably be fine. I don't really... It'll probably be fine. But they found out that the creature they thought was, in fact, a, like, really fucked up version of the long dead species that all of their technology is based off of. Something weird's going on there. They did retreat from the Underdark to go heal, which was the smart decision because, like, they got really fucked up by a Psionic Blast. Lightning has a summoned skeleton that we jokingly call Steve. Every combat, this skeleton with 13 AC and not a very good attack stat rolls criticals like crazy with a short bow. And it's just incredible. Lightning had disadvantage to shoot a short bow underwater and rolled 2 natural 20s.
Jeez.
It's the tale of Steve the Skeleton. That's the game.
Yeah.
Steve the Skeleton, who is a creature composed of many elven skeletons. He's a very mixed-matched boy, and he's constantly in pain, I assume.
Constantly in pain, but he is the hero of our world that we reserve.
Yeah, Lightning could awaken him, because I did give Lightning the ability to create awakened undead.
What is it? Wait, no, it's the hero we need, not the hero we deserve.
Well, no one wants Steve, is the thing, because he's a horrific monster.
Again, need, not deserve. He is a horrific monster. That is the sign of all pain and suffering. Poor Steve. Anyway. Okay, cool. Anything Friday?
Nah, we don't do anything on Friday because that game ended and we're all taking a cool break, so I can get my extra 2 hours of sleep.
That's probably good. I think that's it then, because I didn't do anything else. I had my 2 games for now. Oh, if you missed, I talked about, oh god, it's like, I have to, like, my memory is so bad sometimes, I have to, like, check what did I do this past week? I had an Ancestry guide on Tuesday, so if you want to learn about some Pathfinder ancestries and the versatile heritage of, like, anybody can fuck a demon now, and you can get tieflings anywhere.
I mean, perfect.
Mm-hmm. That's Pathfinder 2E. Does your cat folk want to have had, like, mad demon sex? Go ahead, not just humans anymore.
Well, there is a rule in Pathfinder 1st Edition for that. But I think it's only limited to the core species.
God damn it, Blaze! Sometimes!
Yeah, Hey. See that horrific flip-off over there? Man, wouldn't that be great?
It's like, you were pretty sexy there, horrible demonic clip-off.
Yeah. I see those tendrils made of intestines really do it for me.
I can't say it wouldn't do that for someone out there, but still.
Those bat wings you use as legs? Damn, girl.
Anyway, then I did a built adventure and talked a little bit about the mass combat on Thursday, if you want to check that out. Anyway, alright, that's this week's in Tabletop. Schedule. So, I'm going to probably try to set it up either later on tonight or tomorrow. My schedule for doing some stuff is, first and foremost, on good old Monday. I can think of time frames that exist. I am going to do a randomizer, because I've talked about trying one out, and I'm going to do the Resident Evil 1 Remake randomizer, because I actually know a decent amount of that game. And I'm only going to do an item randomizer, but we'll see how it goes.
You seen the Biorand stuff for 2 and 3? Basically, like you can randomize any character from any Resident Evil game into Resident Evil 2.
Okay.
I saw a great clip where Iron, and this is just normal, where Leon became Ark Thompson from Survivor, and Sherry was Pierce from 6.
All right.
So it's a great mod. It took apparently several years to develop.
I can see that. I might have to check that one out at some point in time if I do some.
I can link you a video on it.
Yeah, but you know, I've done a bunch of games that are like some of them I'm familiar enough to do with some randomizers, so I figured I'd check one out, and that's going to be my big old test for it and see how it does. But only item this time. I have seen someone do this randomizer with items and enemies, and that's a next step after this one, another run at some point in time. For now, we'll just do items that are in crazy places. That's the main thing on the schedule. I will probably do some more Pathfinder 2nd Edition on either Tuesday or Thursday, and that's kind of where we're at right now. And if you want to see the rest of the mass battle, that's on Buccaneers on Wednesday. We should be finishing that up, and the show next week on Saturday for when we get to it. Yay! Ooh. So, that's the schedule. I think that's a great place to end it. I hope everybody is having a good rest of your weekend, and had a great today. And thank you again for joining me, Momo.
No problem.
You have anything to throw out there?
Not really.
Okay. I probably forgot something somewhere. Anyway, have a good one, and bye, everybody. I probably forgot something, but check links and all that stuff, because that's probably where most of the stuff to remember. Anyway, bye!